All right, what's going on, guys? It's Vince, and we are back with another blog post. This one's on sailing pole 1, area expansion quests, and hybrid training methods. So I'm actually coming to you live from a new apartment we're in, so that's pretty cool. The background's gonna look different. I just moved in Sunday, so pretty cool here. We got our own place. But anyway, have your say on new areas, quests, and stories from the far shores of Gilnor. Ahoy! Beyond this disclaimer lies a treasure trove of concepts we're exploring for sailing. While this poll looks to greenlight them all now, not all of them are guaranteed to be available at launch. These seas can be treacherous. As always, your input helps shape our priorities, so be sure to let us know which concepts you like the look of. So this looks, I took a brief skim through how long this was. It's a pretty long little blog post here, so we have even a contents page for crying out loud. So we got the Great Conch, Tortugan Quests, Small Quests, and Small Islands, and Deep Sea Trawling. So pretty exciting news here. Cast your minds back to the first time you stepped foot in Gilnor, arriving at the threshold of Lumbridge Castle with no idea of the amazing adventures awaiting you. The world of Gilnor was your oyster, and that's the feeling we hope to recapture in sailing. In today's blog, you'll learn about brand new areas, quests, and even a new training method. To preserve the magic of discovery, we won't be sharing too many details about the islands you'll get to explore, just enough to spark your sense of adventure. So that's pretty cool. And I just wanted to put in here as well before I continue. I was very against sailing, so I'm curious to see what they're adding. Like, I'm excited for it, I'm optimistic for it, but originally I didn't want it, just for the record. And looks like we have exploration is a key part of the sailing reward space. As you master the stormy seas of Gilnor, you'll be able to travel anywhere and everywhere, discovering new bosses, resources, slayer creatures, training methods, and more. More dangerous locals will be home to more powerful rewards, or not, depending on your feedback. So this is what I was excited for, was it's going to open up the game a lot when it comes to this part here with the new bosses, resources, slayer creatures, training methods, and more. So it should be pretty cool. It should open up the game a lot in terms of new content for the devs to play with. It's incredibly important to us that you have the opportunity to shape this content. So in the months ahead, you can look forward to at least 3 polls where you'll have the chance to have your say on sailing. So again, that's pretty cool. There's a big emphasis on us having the say and what comes into the game. So, and it looks like they broke it down for us. So poll 1, we have quests, area expansions, and deep sea trawling. And it says we're here, so that's pretty cool. Poll 2, we're going to have skilling content and resources. And poll 3, we're going to have creatures and unique rewards, including a community vote on the sailing pet and the player design skill cape competition. So that's really cool. Even like the idea that the player design will get put in the game for the skill cape is really, really cool. So again, just quick shout out to the JMods for the inclusion that they bring for the player base and not just putting out whatever the hell they want. The graphic below shows our current polling time, although it is subject to change. So this is pretty cool. Let's see what we're looking at. So poll 1 topics, area quests and activities. We have the Great Conch Island, the Tortugan Quests, a small scale sailing related quests, and deep sea trawling activity. So I guess that's what we're gonna get today or now. Poll 2, we have skilling content and resources. So we have new trees and logs for wood cutting. That sounds pretty cool. We have new rocks and ores, new methods and fishing, new method and creatures for hunter, new patch type for farming and produce. That's pretty curious. I really like farming. Not everyone does, but a new patch type, that sounds interesting. You would think maybe like seaweed, but like we have seaweed, so I'm very curious what that is. Thieving, we have new NPCs, chests, and stalls. Hopefully with thieving, it works kind of like it does in Varlamore, where you kind of just thieve either a set number of times or until you fail, and then maybe make it so you actually can fail even with 99 thieving. So maybe it's like an 80% chance of success or something. But that would be pretty cool. Everyone's from what I've seen seems to like it. You just can't fail. So I guess we'll find that out as well. New planks for construction and ship parts. So that's cool. We don't have any ship parts in the game, so that part's not new. But that part, I guess it's technically new, but it's not like it's like new from old content. But whatever. Smithing, we have new ships, weaponry, and ammo. Crafting, it brings new fabrics and nets. Fletching, it brings new ranged weaponry, which that sounds pretty cool. I would imagine like cannons would be the new ranged weaponry, but I guess if you're fletching it, maybe we're getting something else. So that sounds pretty cool. And cooking, we have new meats and foods, and herb lore, we have new ingredients and potions. So it really does bring everything into this game where it's touching on a vast majority of skills. And then pull 3 topics, we have combat, content, and rewards. So this is for all the PVMers out there like myself. This is all exciting. We have new tasks and creatures for Slayer. We have new bosses, new unique drops, sailing pet and skill cape, and any extra meta impacting content, which seems to be alluding to something. So, and you can click there for a high resolution image, blah, blah, blah. We plan to use the polling system to greenlight concepts much earlier so we can create a solid slate of exciting content for you all to look forward to. The downside is that giving ourselves more time to plan means we might not always be able to tell you when the feature you voted for is coming to the game. That's why the big disclaimer up top says that some of the content in today's blog might launch after sailing releases. We're prioritizing features based on your feedback, development time, and the scope of each project, but we've already put in the work to ensure that sailing feels fulfilling on launch. Anything that comes later is just another adventure to look forward to, whether that's 3 months, 6 months, or even longer after launch. Yeah, so that's pretty cool. Our player design island competition is definitely still planned to begin after sailing releases, though. Once you have the opportunity to sail around Gillinor yourselves, you'll be in a much stronger position to bring your best ideas forward. That also just kind of makes sense where you get a feel for the game first before you design an island, so it's fine by me as well. And it's, again, cool that they're including the players in the development of the biggest and first skill that we're going to have in this game. So sailing really has so much content to offer, and today is just the first step in showing off what we've been working on. Lastly, we want to reassure you that we're open to making changes with community feedback. Many new islands don't need to depend on the content that's inside of them, and vice versa. Make sure you fill out the survey at the bottom of this blog post to let us know what you think. The Great Conch. Sailors venturing south into the unquiet ocean may discover the Great Conch, an island that's home to a turtle-like folk called the Tortugans. So that's actually pretty cool. It looks like a conch, which I think is a really great idea. They even have some of the landscape design to kind of texture it and make it look like the conch even more. So a host of existing woodcutting trees as well as new jatoba and camphor trees that will give expanded uses to fire making and fletching. Okay, so we actually learned what these woodcutting trees are. We have the jatoba and the camphor trees. So that's interesting names. I want to say, if we're just going off the order that's on the text here, the jatoba is this one on the left and the camphor is the one on the right. The camphor one looks pretty cool. It's like a thicker tree almost, while the jatoba is more of like a teak. So that's cool. We don't really need any more fire making methods after Wintertod, but it's there, and it makes sense too. So whatever. Additionally, we have mining, hunter, and fishing spots, plus new blue crab hunting using hinged lid traps, offering new crab meat to be used with cooking on herb lore. That sounds really fun. I'm curious to see if that's gonna be like a good food. I would imagine. I guess maybe it depends on the level, but that would be really cool. You could get some blue crab and bring some blue crab to some new bosses and I guess maybe some old ones as well. Extra kumquat farming patch can be found here. So also submerged just off the coast, you'll find a coral nursery where you can farm coral, a useful resource for making new items out of. Okay, so I probably could have guessed that, but looks like we can farm coral, so make new items out of. I'm curious what those items are going to be, but that sounds really interesting. On top of that, you can expect all of the useful new shops, amenities, creatures, and more. And the polling question is, would you like us to add the Great Conch, a new island, as described in the blog? New skilling activities, resources, creatures, and unique rewards from this island are subject to future polls, which is pretty cool. So I'll vote yes to that. I mean, it's part of the sailing skill. The sailing skill is already coming into the game, so I like this idea up front. So that's a pretty big island too. I mean, if we look like how big that is, that looks like a pretty sizable island. Like, I feel like in the blog post, it was all like smaller islands. Like this is a pretty big island. You have the Summer Shore, the Sacred Grove, the Abalone Cliffs. Cape Conch at the bottom right. Like that's pretty sizable. In the warm seas south of Menphos, you'll find the Great Conch, home of the Tortugans. These beshelled people are currently under threat, but luckily they have an adventurer like you to help them get to the bottom of it. Befriend the brave Tortugan sailor, Lupa, and you'll earn the Tortugan's trust. In return, they may reveal a few trade secrets that will help you train your skills. I'd imagine that's probably a quest. On a related note, we're really pleased with the community response to the map update for Menphos. While we have every intention of opening the gates when the desert storyline progresses, we'd like to clarify that we're not adding Menphos as part of sailing. It's a huge undertaking similar in scale to Varlamore, and we really want to keep it a surprise. So that's cool. They put a little clarification here when it comes to Menphos that they're happy with kind of our discovery and excitement, but they are not going to be releasing it with sailing. It's going to be its own thing, similar to Varlamore, which is also exciting because there's a lot of new content in Varlamore. For now, you'll find that the Great Conch and all the other sailing islands provide plenty of activities to sink your teeth into. And here's just a better picture of the Great Conch. I know it's cut off a little bit on the stream or the video, but looks pretty cool. It's a pretty sizable island there. Woodcutting, fire making, and fletching. On the Great Conch, you'll find familiar trees like teak, mahogany, and yew. Excuse me. As well as new trees found in the Sacred Grove. This is an area of great importance to the Tortugans, and they're not letting just any noob in. You'll have to prove yourself and get acquainted with their ways of life first. Only players who take the time to befriend the Tortugans will be rewarded with access. So that looks pretty sweet. The Sacred Grove. It's probably going to be some sort of quest reward from what it looks like, or you'll have to do something for the Tortugans before you get access to it. So new trees means new logs. Subject to pulling, of course. They will be covered in our next poll blog, which I will cover when it comes out, along with our plans for how these resources will be used and how they'll impact the wider game. For now, we'll share that the Jatoba logs will mostly be used within the Tortugan quest line, while the Camphor logs will have wider impacts on fire making, fletching, and ship building. Okay, so looks like they have different uses already, where the Jatoba ones are more just a quest and storyline tree, and the Camphor ones are going to be more skilling based and used in building the actual ship for sailing. So everyone that's kind of stocking the mahogany trees and the teak trees, well, planks, teak planks and mahogany planks are going to be in for a little rude awakening because they're going to have to cut a bunch of the Camphor ones that aren't even out yet. But that's funny. Excuse me. All right, now we got mining, hunter, and fishing. Looking to shake up your skilling. The Great Conch will also have mining, fishing, and hunter spots spread across the land. Plus, it's got some great views of the ocean. Very relaxing. We saw how much you liked bank crabs, so we'll do you one better. In the Great Conch, we're proposing a new hunter training method, crab hunting. Okay, so this is actually going to be hunting related and not fishing. This is a brand new training method which involves catching crabs using hinged lid traps. That's pretty cool. Once caught, you can use a knife on these creatures to obtain meat for cooking and herb lore. Since all this is subject to polling, keep an eye out for it in our next poll blog where we'll be taking your feedback and suggestions. That'll be pretty cool. It looks like instead of doing like fishing for the blue crab, they're doing like some sort of like lid trap and putting it into the hunter skill instead. Farming. Take your farming runs one step further. The Great Conch will have an additional kumquat patch as well as a brand new farming method, coral farming. Coral nurseries are new farming patches where coral fragments can be propagated until they mature. Unlike normal patches, these nurseries are found in the sea, and during refinement we called this a hybrid training method, but since they think it makes sense for it to sit with farming only as you're not directly using a boat for this activity. Yeah, okay. So yeah, looks like I guess these can be found around coral reefs, I would imagine. And even on here, it says you make the frame with the Jatoba logs. You got some rock weights there, and it's a 2x2. So, and then you can kind of grow coral, which will be used for something that we do not know of yet. Once again, you'll need to wait for our skilling content and resource whole blog for further details. In addition to its wealth of skilling content, the Great Conch will also feature various shops, amenities, and new creatures. So what do you say? And they put the poll question again. Next, we have new Tortugan Quests. The Tortugans are humble folk living close to nature, making their own tools and homes while utilizing both the land and sea in their everyday lives. The Tortugan Quests are a set of new quests that takes you on a journey to befriend the Tortugans while helping them deal with various threats and challenges along the way. So, and then looks like we have the first quest, the Troubled Tortugans, which is an experienced quest difficulty. The first quest will focus on the player meeting an injured Tortugan called Flupa and introducing the wider Tortugan race and their dangerous enemies, the Griffins, which is a whole new mob as well, which seems pretty cool. Next one, we have the Red Reef, which is also experienced in difficulty. And the second quest focuses on the player helping Flupa overcome her injury while also investigating a potential new threat to the Tortugans. It looks like maybe something to do with like the shells as well. We have like a shell helmet almost on here. And like this first one has almost like a shelled like melee weapon versus this is like a shelled staff. So some sort of shell weaponry it looks like is bringing like kind of coming into the game or has some sort of interest here with it with the melee weapon and the mage weapon. And then they say potential new threat. So and even on here, it looks like they have some sort of shell shield there. So, and then the poll question, should we add the Tortugan Quests, a quest series that focuses on the Tortugan race? All unique rewards from these quests are subject to future polls. Immerse yourself quite literally in a brand new storyline where you'll help the Tortugans combat a mysterious threat. Tortugans have a peaceful society where everyone is expected to contribute using their special skills as a fisherman, a scout, a warrior, a gatherer, or a healer. In the course of the Tortugan Quests, written by mods Ed and Lena, you'll earn your own place in Tortugan society and help them fight back against their greatest enemy yet, which like is those Griffins. Troubled Tortugans. In the first quest, you'll meet Flupa, a stranded Tortugan who needs your help to get back to the Great Conch. Through her, you'll learn more about Tortugan society and the threat posed by the Griffins, but oversized seagulls are far from the only danger lurking on the high seas. Then we have rewards and requirements. This is an experience level quest requiring Pandemonium, which is like, I think, the introductory skill for sailing. Skill requirements, 51 Slayer, 48 Construction, 45 Sailing. Okay, so we're not going to be able to do this off the bat. 45 Hunter, 40 Woodcutting, and 34 Crafting, and you get 1 quest point, 10,000 Sailing XP, 8,000 Slayer XP, and access to the Great Conch. Okay, so the island is going to be locked behind the quest itself. In the second quest, you'll help Flupa overcome her injury while investigating a new threat to the Tortugan way of life in the Red Reef quest. It is also an experience level quest requiring Troubled Tortugans with a 52 sailing requirement and 48 smithing. And you get 2 quest points, some sailing XP, smithing XP, and access to new tree resources. Next, we have small islands. If you took part in the sailing alpha, you might have noticed several small islands scattered throughout the ocean. This is what I mentioned earlier. They were all small islands. Some of these you may have visited, like the Pandemonium, while others are brand new and waiting to be explored. While you're not on land, it can easily feel like you're being swallowed up by the endless blue tiles, if not much content exists around you. In our early playtesting sessions with NDA players, we noticed that without any useful landmarks for navigation, players could easily get lost. Having more small islands instead of fewer large ones doesn't just solve this problem, it helps make the ocean feel more alive. More islands will also support gradual progression from 1 to 99 sailing rather than giving you one massive island at level 30 and then having to wait until level 60 for another one. Yeah, it seems pretty good. It seems reasonable. During the sailing alpha, we hadn't yet balanced this content, so those of you who played might have visited islands at lower sailing levels than intended. Be sure that on launch, all islands will have a proper balance pass to ensure their content is level appropriate. So that's good. Hopefully that means if you're sailing around, it doesn't just say, oh, you can't visit here yet. Oh, you can't visit here yet. Oh, you can't visit here yet. And here are a few islands we've worked on. Oh, okay. You can just kind of click and it changes. So put that into the center. It looks like we have the Pandemonium, the Onyx Crest. That looks pretty sweet with some mining. Angler's Retreat. That's pretty cool. Maybe there's some sort of buff to anglerfish fishing on the Angler's Retreat. Sunbleak Island, that seems more woodcutting focused. Shimmering Atoll, which isn't much of an island at all. It just seems more like, I don't even know what to call that. I'd have to brush up on my nautical terms, but this has more woodcutting on it. Port Roberts, which is literally just a port, but that seems more maybe about like trading and some other stuff. The Buccaneers Haven. I don't even know what would be on that other than that little fishing spot. And then you have a little thing over here. I'm not sure if that's anything or maybe just there for aesthetics, but then you have Brittle Island. So maybe there's some mobs on that or something. But that's pretty cool. You have a bunch of small islands here. The islands above are just the appetizer. In our next poll blog, we'll share more information on the skilling activities and new resources you can find on these small islands, including new ores, trees, materials, and creatures. Each island will have its own unique feel, from the climate and terrain right up to the creatures that live there and the stories that you can find. You'll meet new people and find interesting mysteries, and of course, you'll visit some small islands during quests. Small islands will also give us a place to add future content, things like PVM challenges, skilling opportunities, and more. Again, this is just kind of smart for the game. It allows them to have sailing kind of affect the entirety of the game, and it reminds me a lot of, like, I want to say almost the way Invention incorporated so many aspects of the game for RuneScape 3. Not that this is a RuneScape 3 skill, but it's fun that they can use skills to kind of expand on the game they have already and not just add a skill like Hunter into the game where it's literally just the one skill, but it kind of touches on everything as a whole. That's why we're only pulling the activities and rewards available, not the islands themselves. They're a core part of sailing and a critical part of bringing the ocean to life and opening up the sailing reward space. We didn't pull Lumbridge, did we? Yeah, I mean, that's fun. But yeah, like I said, that just makes sense. We're also aware of community interest in procedurally generated islands created by an algorithm, much like the rooms of the Gauntlet. We did some initial investigation into this process during a game jam, but there's still a lot we need to do to make sure that procedurally generated islands meet our high standards for the game. This isn't something we're planning to include in Sailing's launch, but we'll keep your interest in mind for other content. I think that would be fun if you just sailed like off the map, like literally just keep going and it's just random procedurally generated content. It would be random, so I doubt that it would be meta, but if you find something, some sort of island that's procedurally generated that's just OP, you might have it for that specific time. So hopefully, even though it's not on launch like it says here, hopefully maybe in the future it would come out and we'll be able to play with that. Another thing that's come up in discussion is whether you'll need to set sail every time you want to get to a specific island. As exciting as sailing is, traveling back and forth from A to B constantly could get tedious after a while. We want to clarify that islands with docks will always have an alternate access method provided you've sailed there by yourself at least once. Sailing isn't just about traversing the seas, so we want to make it convenient to get where you want to go. Rest assured that alternative methods will be on theme. Yeah, this is kind of what I was hoping for, where you do have to get to the island first once you've been there before you can either teleport or use some sort of method to get there other than just sailing. Some islands will have mooring points rather than docks. When it makes sense, some of these islands will have teleports. There'll also be a teleport to boat spell, which will give you a great deal of flexibility when it comes to travel. Okay, so even like, looks like if we have a teleport to boat spell, maybe you sail to an island and then you could like bank at the crafting guild, teleport to your boat, and then continue at that island. So that's definitely a pretty cool spell that they're going to add. Alright, we have small quests next. The ability to explore the ocean and see what's out there sits at the heart of sailing. As a result, you'll find a whole host of new islands scattered across the many oceans of Gilnor just waiting to be found. We don't want to spoil the fun of discovering islands for yourself at this stage, so we won't be going into too much detail here, but rest assured that any significant activities or rewards to be introduced with them will still be covered in future blogs and polls. Yeah, so I mean, even if we look at this map, right? I mean, you see the world just looks way more open, right? And it looks way more lively versus all just that blue. So we have just so many different islands. There's the Great Conch one, actually. We have it kind of south of the desert. But but yeah, I mean, there's a ton of just small islands. I see even that one of just the wood cutting one where there wasn't much land over here. So it looks like they are just putting it kind of all around the game. I mean, I think where's port? I think this is the main port here that we all started at by the Wizard's Tower, or like somewhere in here. So I mean, if we were just exploring this area, I mean, you literally have the whole game map to go off of here, which is pretty cool. The map looks really alive in this photo. So, and then like they said, they don't want to ruin everything when it comes to like the discovering islands for ourselves, but any major activities or rewards are going to be pulled, which seems, I guess, topical or not topical, but necessary, just so we can kind of find this stuff out. For now, to help breathe life into the ocean and its many locations, we'd like to propose releasing a number of additional small quests set throughout the oceans and islands you'll be finding via sailing. Yeah, I mean, like, it's great that they're pulling all this, but I can't see any of this stuff failing when it comes to a new skill. It's stuff that just needs to be added for the skill to feel alive. So should we add a series of small scale quests to add additional world building, life, and character sailing? Like, yeah, of course, whatever. To go with the small islands, we'd like to add smaller, less impactful quests, much like the ones we recently introduced in Varlamore. Many of you experienced Pandemonium in the Sailing Alpha. Its story plays a key role in the first-time user experience of sailing, but doesn't impact the greater story of the game. Consequently, that one won't be pulled. Yeah, that's fine. We are, however, making changes based on your feedback from the Sailing Alpha. For example, some of you didn't like receiving XP for completing the quest, which essentially locks you out of sailing altogether. To address this feedback, we're making the XP rewards into lamps in lines with other quest rewards. You can expect to see more small tweaks as we look over the feedback and iterate on the first-time user experience for sailing. Yeah, so this is cool. Instead of basically what they're saying is instead of getting sailing XP for completing the quest, which basically locks you out of sailing altogether if you don't do the quest, they're giving you lamps. So you can use them on sailing, but they're also saying, hey, you don't have to do the quest just to begin sailing, similar to like how Herblore has the druidic ritual that locks you out of it until you do that. As for our other small quests, you can expect them to be similar to Sheepshear or the Twisted Tales in difficulty. They'll help integrate sailing with the rest of the game and will serve as a way to introduce players to tools like the current duck, or the spyglass, rather than just buying them from an NPC. Alright, excuse me. We'd prefer to keep the exact details secret for now so that these small but mighty quests will still have some surprises for you. I like that they're doing that, personally. I can see people getting worried about that, but I like that there's going to be surprises for us. I think that's one of the biggest downsides of blog posts is that we don't get any surprises. So, and there's that same poll question. Next, we're getting there. More to the bottom. We have oceans, seas, and hazardous waters. Oh, this is really interesting. So here, take a look at this map. I'm going to take another sip of my drink, but take a look at this map, right? You have different kind of parts of the ocean. I would like to see it almost more patchy, but you have the Forgotten Ocean, the Northern, Untamed. That seems cool. That seems like it's wilderness based up here in the Untamed Ocean. Yeah, I mean, wow, look at that. Daemon's Crater with the Frozen Temple. It's a little off screen. The Tower of Bounty, Huntsman's Woods. Okay, that's not an island. That's for the, I forget what it's called. But look at that. You have what looks like maybe like a wilderness area for the Untamed Ocean. The Western Ocean, Shrouded Ocean, Sunset Ocean, Unquiet Ocean, and Eastern Ocean. I actually want to see anything we can see in this part of the map. No, I mean, there's where mostly Harmless is. Strait of Discord. It's literally called the Strait of Discord. That's funny. The Iron Sea, Forbidden Depths, So it looks like they really have some plans in here. Pearl Bank, Tortugan Sea, Bay of Olidness. That's a pretty cool name. The Caribbean Sea, Lumbridge Basin, Sanctuary's End, Merkshore Sea, Gravewater Bay, Dragon's Maw. That seems pretty cool. Yeah, I mean this is pretty involved here. They spent a lot of time on this. This seems really cool though that's sectioned off in these areas. You may have noticed that we've mentioned oceans a couple of times now. Well, take a look at this. And this is similar to almost like the Atlantic Ocean and Pacific Ocean. We have a bunch of different oceans kind of mapped out here, which is pretty cool. We've transformed the previously monotonous blue tiles into various different oceans. These large areas are the seaborne equivalent of the regions on the mainland, like Asgarnia, and will mostly exist for similar thematic reasons. Most of them will be available on launch, but some will be added afterwards. At launch, we aim to have the ardent, unquiet, shrouded western and northern oceans available, as well as parts of the Sunset Ocean. To put this into perspective, the Sailing Alpha only included the ardent and unquiet oceans, with playable content capped at level 30. We'll do the math for you. The playable area that launches with Sailing will be massive, with plenty of room for future expansion. So again, very exciting. On that note, the Forgotten, Untamed, and Eastern Oceans will likely appear as post-launch Sailing updates. We're approaching this rollout thoughtfully, ensuring we learn from previous experiences and avoiding the introduction of large areas with sparse content. Yeah, that's smart too. They definitely need to make sure they have enough content in the large areas. Oceans are further subdivided into seas, the equivalent of settlements and landmarks like Canifis or the Karamjan volcano. Each ocean will contain multiple seas, and unlike oceans, seas are closely tied to gameplay with different level bands for the content there. You may have experienced this already if you tried sea charting in the alpha, where you needed certain level requirements to chart certain things at sea. These level bands are not rigid, so your boat won't grind to a halt once you reach a higher leveled ocean. You'll be able to access these seas, but there are various hazards which make your journey more difficult or even impossible. The map below shows hazardous waters in more detail. Okay, so this is a more practical map instead of the one with all the colors. So again, I just want to look at the wilderness one with the Untamed Ocean. It seems like it definitely has like a different color to it up top. I guess all of them kind of have a different color. But they definitely have kind of these split areas. It's all kind like mostly blue, but there's definitely kind of like even in here, you can see the watercolor changes and represents different oceans that they have. Even like in here, and like by Prif, it's more blue, which seems like something else is there off the coast, and then you get into the main area of water here in the Western Ocean. But that's really cool. I mean, that map looks amazing with all the different like oceans and points of interest in the water. Even what is in here? The backwater. Look at that with the swamp and everything with Poison Waste and the Breakbone Strait backwater. I mean, it doesn't look like much is there, but maybe they'll add something into this area as well. That looks pretty cool. It's a really cool concept though. Like again, I was not a big proponent of sailing just because I think they need to polish the game more, which they have to like a certain extent. There's Port Roberts, which they have to a certain extent, but I mean, this looks really promising. It looks really thought out, and it looks like they're really letting their creative mind kind of like manifest itself into these ideas. If you've played the Sailing Alpha, you'll have seen one hazard already. Near storm tempor that your boat experiences periodical damage unless it's been suitably upgraded. So near storm tempor, where is that? Is it like up here somewhere? I probably shouldn't even bother looking, but again, it said near storm tempor, your boat experiences periodical damage unless it's been suitably upgraded. So there's even areas it looks like that on the water that it looks like your boat's just gonna experience damage from the weather conditions. As funny as it would be to pull seas and oceans, we won't be doing this, as without them you'd have nothing to sail on. Yeah, that's fine as well. That makes sense. And then new hybrid training method, the Deep Sea Trawling, which I know a lot of people were complaining about, saying like, oh, that's just the AFK method, I think. No, that was I think charting or something. Okay, never mind. Don't listen to me, but listen to me. Next, we have Deep Sea Trawling, which is a new hybrid skilling method combining sailing and fishing. As someone that liked fishing growing up, this is really exciting. Taking place out in the deep seas where you can catch new rare types of fish. And first off, you have tracked down a shoal of fish, optionally with the help of a sonar orb facility. So I have no idea what that is about, but that sounds pretty cool. Next, we have optionally spread some special bait made from fish offcuts stored in a chum bucket facility to increase your fishing duration and catch effectiveness. So this looks like it's from the barbarian fishing where you can kind of cut up the, I don't know why I did that, but cut up the fish. And it looks like we'll be able to put them in a chum bucket, which is pretty cool. So, SpongeBob crossover. Next, we have navigate over a shoal and deploy your trawling net facility while keeping your ship aligned with the shoal as it moves. And it looks like there's even different types of rope. So, we have the regular rope, the hemp rope, the linen rope, and the cotton rope. Gather fish in your net to receive both fishing and sailing XP, optionally storing any caught fish in your cargo hold. Once the shoal is depleted, you can move on to finding a new shoal or return to port with your haul of fish. As you level up and venture into deeper parts of the sea, you'll encounter higher tiers of shoals that introduce more complex gameplay, new hazards to contend with, but also rarer fish to catch. So this is almost definitely going to bring new food into the game for PVM in my eyes. It looks like the only thing I'm curious about where it says venture into deeper parts of the sea, you'll encounter higher tiers of shoals. I'm curious if this is going to be like farmable, where you like go out and you just catch the same sort of fish endlessly, similar to like anglerfish and like sharks, or if you actually have to like get lucky enough to find some of these where it's a pain in the ass for like Iron Men, and where it would be kind of expensive for mains to use this type of fish in PVM scenarios. But nonetheless, this is what I'm talking about when I was saying earlier, like the fact that they're integrating other parts of the game with sailing is really exciting, where it's not just they're like sailing and not just like fletching or hunter. Like it incorporates other skills into the game and really expands on the game as a whole. Some of the new fish to be introduced include giant krill, haddock, yellowfin tuna, halibut, bluefin tuna, and marlin. That's pretty cool. We even get like new types of fish revealed to us. The HP restored, utility, or special effects of these fish. There you go. So some of them will even have special effects. Of these fish will be blogged and pulled separately, and is something we are eager to hear your ideas and feedback on. And then the poll, do you want us to add deep sea trawling, blah, blah, blah. So I really like this. I was always someone that enjoyed fishing growing up, so this should be a lot of fun when it comes to fishing. During refinement, we've explored several hybrid training methods, including deep sea trawling, mineral dredging. That was what the AFK was, dredging, I think. Coral farming and sea monster hunting. These were all received positively, so we've picked one to flesh out properly before launch. You can expect to see more hybrid training methods in the future, but for now, please welcome deep sea trawling. Yeah, I really like this. This seems really fun. Until you have to do it to 200 mil fishing and sailing, but no. But again, it's deep sea trawling. It seems pretty cool. It's a new fishing method. This method combines sailing and fishing, allowing you to turn your boat into a useful tool to catch rare new species of fish that don't exist on the coastline. The activity is group friendly, so you can bring your friends along too. Yeah, that seems really fun. We can like do it as a group, which is pretty cool. You'll earn both sailing and fishing XP while collecting unique fish that can have powerful effects. They might be cooked into powerful foods or used in herb lore to craft new potions. Okay. As this blog exists as more of a greenlight stage, the effects of any new fish will be pulled in our next sailing poll blog, which covers skilling content and resources. Yeah, see, even this it's saying we're going to use it in herblore to craft new potions as well as fishing to make food for PVM. So a lot of cool stuff in the trawling when it comes to PVM content in new potions and food. Deep sea trawling isn't intended to replace traditional fishing. Instead, it offers a meaningful alternative. By going deeper into the sea, you can get more interesting fish, and it should be a reasonable moneymaker too. Yeah, especially on launch. To get started with deep sea trawling, players will equip their ship with a specialized trawling net facility. At least one player, either you or a crewmate, must operate the trawling equipment to catch fish while the boat follows a moving shoal across the ocean. Okay, so the shoal is going to move as well. Staying on top of the shoal and working as a team is key to gathering large hauls of fish. As you level up your sailing and fishing, you'll be able to upgrade your trawling gear and take on more challenging and rewarding shoals. So this doesn't seem like it's going to be AFK at all either. It seems like you're going to have to follow the shoal and really, really stay on top of it to make the most out of this sort of fishing. It seems like it's very intuitive and like not brain off watch a movie sort of thing. It seems like you're going to have to pay attention and make sure you kind of know what you're doing here. It seems fun though. It seems like it's going to lead to a lot of fun content, especially with like the fish itself and the herb lore potions that we're going to be making. Next we have the trawling net. Again, we're almost on the blog post here, but a couple more things. We have the trawling net, which is a core facility that unlocks access to deep sea trawling. Without it, you won't be able to gather fish at sea. As you progress, higher tier nets will become available. These advanced nets will allow boats to reach deeper sea levels where rarer and more rewarding shoals can be found. In addition to accessing deeper waters, upgraded nets will also increase the minimum quantity of fish obtained per successful catch, making investing in better facilities feel like a worthwhile use of your time. So that's pretty cool. It adds to that sailing aspect of the hybrid skill where you're going to want to like have a higher sailing level for this as well as a high fishing level. It's not just fishing level based. The image above shows that trawling nets are made out of rope, linen, hemp, and cotton. The latter three are new materials that we'd like to introduce with sailing. And say with us more information about skilling content and resources will be discussed in our next sailing pool blog. So this is obviously a recurring theme. The chum bucket, which is not actually, but a SpongeBob crossover. The chum bucket is an additional facility that can help sustain shoals of fish for longer periods. Okay, so if you find one, it'll let you stay there more. It holds and spreads bait into the water, which can reduce the rate at which a shoal disperses. In addition to extending shoal lifespan, spreading bait also increases the number of fish caught. You must be locked into the chum bucket facility in order to use it, which is where you'll see the option to spread bait on the sailing side panel. If an NPC crewmate is assigned to the chum bucket, the captain will gain the capability to issue a command to spread bait from anywhere on the boat. Each chum bucket will allow you to store up to 1,000 of each bait type. Wow, it's not too bad. When 10 bases of bait have been successfully fed to a shoal, there is a % chance that the shoal will not deplete, allowing players to catch fish from it for a longer time. All players participating in catching from the shoal can contribute bait towards this total, but once bait has been offered, the effect doesn't stack. Yeah, it's pretty cool. So you get a better chance that the shoal will not deplete if you're using this chum bucket item. The spread bait feature will intelligently choose the best available bait for the current shoal, prioritizing the highest level bait that meets the shoal's needs, which is also pretty cool. Basic chum buckets can only store simple fish offcuts, while higher tier versions will be able to store a wider range of bait types. Next, we have the sonar orb. The sonar orb is another additional facility for your boat, which can help you detect where shoals of fish are using sonar. This facility doesn't require locking in to use. You simply need to click on it. There are currently 2 tiers of sonar orb. The first gives a general direction, whereas the second gives you a hint arrow directly over the shoal. If you're too far away from your nearest shoal, neither orb will do anything. Okay, so it just helps you detect these sort of shoals that we're going to have to track down. Please note that whilst 3 facilities are explained here, only one of these 3, trawling net, is required to try deep sea trawling. There are also currently 3 sizes of boat: the raft, the small boat, and the large boat. Each of these boats have 1, 4, and 8 facility slots, respectively, And you'll be able to own and customize up to 5 boats. So you can build a dedicated deep sea trawler if you like. So that's pretty cool. We can actually have a boat just dedicated to this if we want, since we'll be able to have 5 boats. And then the gameplay loop. Oh, my bad. There we go. Here's how the core activity plays out. You're going to find a shoal using your eyes and ears or a sonar orb. Prepare to fish, perhaps by loading your chum bucket with bait. Navigate on top of the shoal, deploy the trawling net, and follow those fish. When the shoal disperses or you're ready to stop trawling, interact with the net to loot your catch. And okay, so we actually have special rules for Iron players as well. Iron men cannot receive fish or cargo from other players, and group Iron men can share with their group's cargo hold. Yeah, that makes sense. It's pretty obvious. Lastly, it seems like we have bait and offcuts. So we've often seen the sentiment that low-level skilling supplies have little use once you've leveled past them. It's especially true for fish. There's only so many sardines a person can stomach. Some fish can be cut into offcuts as a replacement for bait, but bait is so cheap that there's no reason to do so. Aerial fishing implemented a similar system, but it's contained to that one activity. Deep sea trawling will let you use all types of fish as bait, creating progression where you use low-level fish to catch higher level ones. So maybe stock up, especially if you're an iron, stock up on the lower level fish as well. To accomplish this and streamline the system, we're removing fish chunks and rolling out 3 types of fish offcuts: regular, fine, and premium. Okay. If you already have chunks in your bank, firstly, apologize to your banker. Then don't worry, they'll be converted to the appropriate type when sailing launches. Anywhere you currently use fish chunks or offcuts, you'll be able to use regular fish offcuts instead. Any fish can be cut into offcuts based on the tiers below, but premium offcuts are limited to the new fish introduced while sailing. Okay. So standard fishing offcut tiers, we have a ton for the regular, and the fine ones we have shark, sea turtle, manta ray, anglerfish, and dark crab. So if you want to kind of prep for the fine fish offcuts, start getting these types of resources with, I think, shark and anglerfish, and maybe dark crab being the easiest ones here. So, and then we have the deep sea trawling ones. It looks like you get regular from the giant krill and haddock, the fine ones from the yellowfin, tuna, and halibut, and the premium from the marlin and bluefin. Lastly, shoals. As you progress into deeper parts of the sea, you'll encounter higher tiers of shoals that introduce more complex and rewarding gameplay, but beware, the deeper out at sea you are, the more potential danger to your boat and crew. Team coordination will become super important as these higher levels to successfully catch fish. At these higher levels to successfully catch fish while defending your boat. Your ability to catch fish from shoals scales with your fishing level, so a higher fishing level will allow you to catch them more reliably. The quantity of fish caught improves by upgrading your trawling net facility. To make things more challenging, higher tiers of shoals are able to change their depth. This means that you'll benefit further from having a higher level trawling net, so you can reach further down into the depths of the sea. Occasionally, instead of a standard single fish shoal, players might encounter rare mixed shoals where a shoal respawns. These shoals allow players to catch a variety of fish, some of which they might not normally have a level for, but at reduced catch rates. These rare fish will be tracked on the collection log. Estimated rates are still being finalized, but the goal is roughly 10 hours of dedicated trawling to catch a rare variant of a special fish. This is pretty cool. It looks like those nets allow you to reach deeper into the shoal, which like it seems like it helps either catch more or catch them more reliably. You see here. And even like it'll have mixed shoals as well, which seems pretty nice. Where it'll have kind of it reminds me of like the big shark and the big swordfish, but it's pretty cool. It has a little bit more variety where the nets are able to reach deeper into the depths of the sea, which I would imagine just kind of increases the catch rate of the fish. I'm not too sure from what I could see. I'm going to read this right up at the top. Team coordination will become super important at these higher levels to successfully catch fish while defending your boat. So it does seem like it'll reward team play as well. Sorry, I don't know what I was thinking here. My head got lost. There's a lot to this, but yeah, I mean, it seems like there's a lot more to it than just like go find a shoal and fish it. It seems like having like teammates is going to help out, where it'll be easier to defend your boat at the higher levels to successfully catch the fish once you get to the shoal. And then when you have a net as well, you'll be able to go deeper into the shoal as well to catch them, probably at an increased rate. And then on top of that, you'll get mixed shoals where you can catch rare fish as well to add to your collection log, with 10 hours of dedicated trawling to be their goal, which doesn't seem too bad. But yeah, that seems to do it. So they have a survey. If you want to cast your vote and leave some feedback, they do have a survey available. Again, I'll link the blog post in the description like I always do. If you go to the bottom, the survey is there as well, or you can just visit the official website and it's there as well. And then they have a little announcement on Monday, June 2nd. They'll be live on Twitch to answer questions, and on Tuesday, June 3rd, they will run a longer Discord stages Q&A where you can ask questions directly. So thanks for reading, and please let us know what you think or what needs changing. We'll see you soon for our next sailing poll, where we'll discuss skilling and resources. That's pretty exciting. And as always, they sign it, the mod team. So long blog post here. We're already at 51 minutes, but a lot to this blog post when it comes to the deep sea trawling, the ocean seas and hazardous waters, islands and quests, the small islands, the Tortugans, bunch of different farming and wood cutting, fire making, fletching, the Great Conch Island, and the roadmap here. So lots of exciting stuff. Again, I was a big sailing hater when they first pitched this, but because it's coming into the game, I do want it to be really good. I hope it's good, and it is exciting. So I wish that they would spend time making sure the rest of their game's polished, but at the same time, like, new content is genuinely exciting. So I especially like the trawling. So this seems like it's a lot of fun overall, the deep sea trawling. So okay, thank you, Adblock. But deep sea trawling seems like it's gonna be a lot of fun. But guys, let me know what you think. That's gonna do it for now, and I will see you later. Peace.